All right, welcome back to the Mastering Risk podcast. Today we are talking about managing risk in AI. And hold on a second, before you click off, this is not another apocalyptic tale about how everybody's going to lose their job, but really, what can we use it for, and how do we make risk far more palatable and easier to take care of? So sit back, grab yourself your favorite beverages. Let's get at it. All right, welcome back. Appreciate all the feedback. Today, we really want to concentrate on mastering risk in the age of AI. Like, what does that really mean? The no BS, take the apocalyptic out of it, shove it down the train. And what does the future of AI in the risk management space mean? And then what does that mean? WTF for the SMB? Like, seriously, if you're a small and medium business owner, you have an Etsy store, or you have a lawn care business that does $750,000 a year, and there's risks in the cyber domain, the strategic domain, and across your operations, and that your reputation is a moment away from cancel culture, and all of that exists in the world, you still have the audacity to be an entrepreneur. How do you understand all of that? And as AI rolls out all these tools, all of these ways of doing business that are sold to you in a way that looks like if you don't adopt this now, you lose. In other words, whether it's a YouTube influencer that comes along and tells you, here are the top 15 AI you have to learn right away, and then you find out, by the way, that person's an investor in 7 of them, or you get somebody saying, I'm going to put this video up on AI and then I'm going to delete it in 21 days because it's so clickbaitable that all the information you need is here. Or if I've got an AI product coming out, that means you can fire all of your accountants, you can fire all of your administrative assistants, you can have your phone answered by AI now. And that these things are all potential. But this is what we're being sold, is that right now you have to adopt all of these key things. Otherwise, your competitors are going to stomp you into nothingness. They're going to occupy your market share. Your top line revenue is going to crash, and you're dans la poubelle, as they say. What's happening right now is you have a fragmented and an unregulated, which some of us support and some of us don't, this unregulated release of competing and complementary AI programs in the space, in any space. Now, whether we're talking about risk management here on this podcast, we're talking about emergency preparedness, or we're talking about something totally different like baseball statistics or something, there's AI products coming out and everything. And right now, it's very much like, the best example I like to use is pot. It's marijuana. So if you think about back in 2015, when the Canadian government said we're going to authorize the legal possession, growing, and consumption of marijuana in Canada. We'll put short little, 4 plants, these type of things. You can't drive high, and the normal restrictions. But we're basically going to say marijuana is just like alcohol. But we're going to leave it to the 10 provinces and 3 territories to come up with the regulations of how this is done. Total abandonment of responsibility, but whatever. That's not surprising by any government. And so the provincial governments were trying to figure out how to do this. Do we do it within a space? Like, for example, each one of our provinces in Canada, and the states may be different and your country may be slightly different, each one of our provinces has a agency that has the right to sell alcohol. So here in Ontario, where I live, the LCBO, the Liquor Control Board of Ontario, sells spirits, like booze, hard liquor, but beer and wine can basically be bought anywhere across the province. And so when they were looking at regulating marijuana, do they put marijuana in LCBO stores? Do we have to train a bunch of people? Do we just let private enterprise go crazy? Do we need to put restrictions on how far the pot store is from a school or some type of other place, etc.? And so all of these things were happening. And what happened is everybody opened a pot store. Thousands of pot stores opened all across. And capitalism works best when you just let it go. And those that are successful, those that present a great product at a great value, great customer service, and are positioned correctly in the market, both location and advertising, will do exceptionally well. And many of them, the vast majority of these pot stores that have opened in the last 10 years have closed because they were unsuccessful in their business venture. They were not successful in competition against their peers. Their business model might have been slightly different, but etc. So what we're seeing in the AI space right now, in risk management, but in a lot of places across your whole life now, is everybody is launching something they think will work. It's very much like the NFT world that came out a couple of years ago. Gary Vee was an influencer who was very strong in the NFT, but he was to say that 99% of these, their value will go to zero. 1% will be worth the millions. I don't know which 1% it was. His view was that the NFT in the future that would have value would be the one that had a service associated with it or something else associated with it. Essentially meaning, I'll buy the NFT. The NFT itself has a value, but the NFT, by owning that, the non-fungible token, allows me access to something else. So it's not just that it was a digital picture and there's apparently only one of it. It was that because I own that digital picture, I got to go to this event, or I got to access this person twice a year in this format, whatever it may be. So right now you have a flurry of AI programs coming out, promising the world. Most are going to fail miserably. Most won't deliver what they say they deliver. And everybody seems to think that I need to be on this right now. I need to be in everything. And I'm here to tell you to take a big freaking deep breath. That's it. You are not going to lose market share right now if you don't adopt AI in that program. Where you will lose market share to your competitors if you don't understand the value of AI. And the best way to describe this in a public policy side is the government of UAE, the United Arab Emirates, has probably the only public, well-constructed and well-defined AI framework, regulatory policy, what it can do, what it can't do. It's very well written out. It's public, and it's a beautiful piece of public policy. What they've said, however, is their intent is that they will use AI in every part of their business model they can to deliver great public services to their citizens and guests, but they're not using it to replace jobs. They're not in the game of replacing humans. What we're being sold right now is that AI's main opportunity that it gives you is that you can reduce the largest line item on your business, which is labor. For the vast majority of businesses out there, the largest expense they have is labor. And if I can get AI and I can dump labor, then I have a larger margin to reinvest into my business, to take as profit, to send out the dividend to shareholders, or whatever other avenues I may want to do if I can just fire a bunch of people and get AI to do it. That is a zero-sum race to the bottom, an absolute race to the bottom. It's like competing in price. I don't compete in price in my business. I provide a value, I provide a service, I provide an intelligence and research and evidence behind it. The price is what it is. My argument to business owners always has been, if you're negotiating price, then you failed on the value. Our responsibility as business owners is to represent value to our clients. The price is what it is. If somebody says to me, our top tier product we have at Preparedness Labs Incorporated is $8,000 a year for, I'm not going to go into, but a whole bunch of benefits and doing risk management, business coaching, and one-to-one assistance to a small, medium business. There's no $5,000 version of that. It's because if you understand the value provided, then the price is $8,000. If you don't want to spend $8,000, then that's fine. There isn't a $5,000 or a $3,000 version. To provide this level of service and this value to the customer, this is the price. You don't Okay, if you don't want to spend that money, that's fine. We don't negotiate the price down, because as soon as you get into a race with customers, price to the bottom, then you are going to eventually get to a point where there's no value being in the market anyhow. And the problem with AI is when you take AI and you try to say, I'm going to get rid of all of my employees, I'm going to automate all of my processes, sooner or later, you don't have any human discernment, human thinking. You don't have anything other than you and a bunch of AI in the business, which to a certain degree will work, but you'll lose out. And follow me on this. One of the points that we make to small and medium business owners, SMBs, you hear me say that all the time, it's an SMB, is understanding that AI, and Brett Weinstein put this best in his Dark Horse podcast, a fabulous podcast. He did an episode on the pace. When you look at the industrial revolutions, and AI is the last element of the fourth industrial revolution, when you look at that, you understand that it's happening at a pace faster than the human brain can adapt. And what I mean by that is your brain is still built to operate in scarcity. It's built as a hunter-gatherer. That's the pace at which the human brain cognitively adapts. The creation of anxiety, stress, disruption, and chaos because of the advent of AI is largely because it's happening at a pace beyond which we can comprehend. We understand how we run our societies. We understand how we run our civilizations. And this is disrupting at a pace faster than we can grasp. So when we think about AI coming in and we think about the fourth industrial revolution, which is the automation, the cloud, the automated manufacturing, and the Internet of the Things, it still goes out to how do humans learn? How do humans understand? Because we always say, and this is a business school 101, you want an MBA in 3 minutes? Here it is. People buy on emotion and justify with logic later, which is why fear, the most influential human emotion, is regularly used in all kinds of advertising. Because if I make you fearful of something, if I make you afraid, and then I offer you a solution in the same conversation to that fear, I have the highest degree, ethically or not, I have the highest degree of probability that you will acquire whatever it is I'm offering you. Because I leverage human emotions. We don't buy on logic. Humans don't, right? We're not neoclassical economic things that the economists used to think we are, and that we always operate in our own best interest and that we always make decisions on the margins. That's been the neoclassical economic argument, but that's not who we are. That's why behavioral economics, which is the largest anomalistic challenge to economic thinking right now, says actually no, humans think illogically. We're emotional beings and we make decisions based upon emotion, which is why the fear about AI is working, which is why the fear about not adopting right now. So if you're a small and medium business owner, you are being inundated with offers and discussions about how you have to automate all of these processes. And look how beautiful it will be. Look how wonderful it will be when Notion or Motion or any one of these other programs, you can just hire like 6 people in the program and they can do all your work for you. That you can. I'm going to ask you for the rest of this podcast episode and YouTube, because I love YouTube, to think about it from your customer's perspective. Are your customers ready to have a conversation with AI to book an appointment? Yes, we have automated calendar things. Calendly, I've used that in the past before, where somebody wants to book a one-to-one conversation with me, jump on the calendar app, pick a time, we get some emails. That's perfect. People accept that. But when I pick up and call your business phone and I want to schedule my car for a tire rotation, I want to speak to a human. Right now, you can buy an AI that will have that conversation for you. Are your customers ready for it? Will you turn customers away when they understand that it's AI? This is the emotional piece we don't get. You've got the ability to bring in a administrative assistant to answer your phones as an AI bot. But if your customers have no desire to interact with an AI bot, has that decision to purchase that increased your bottom line? It may have allowed you to fire somebody at the front desk. It may on paper save you thousands of dollars a month in salary costs, but are your customers looking to do that? Are they okay with that? I don't think the cultural adaptation is there yet. You may think it is, but that is introducing a different risk into your business by adopting AI, firing your employee, replacing it. It's the modern version of an offshore call center. How many of us are cheesed off when we talk to Bill, and obviously from the accent, it's not Bill, but it saves a company tons of money to offshore their call center to a foreign country where people are paid pennies on the dollar and they save money. But does that help out the brand? In the bottom line, in the short term, it saves money. But does it help out the brand? So what we're trying to do is understand that humans learn in a certain way. So my advice for the SMB out there, my advice for the risk management consultant is this: understand how people learn. And I did an exercise, and I've been studying and researching risk management in small and medium businesses for about a dozen years now. About 2013 is when I started studying in this industry. So I've got about 12 years under my belt of looking at what business owners want to do with risk. What do they want to do about it? How do they want to understand it? Because there's a difference. I can come in and tell you, here's a bunch of language you have to learn, and here's a bunch of processes you have to change, and here's a bunch of plans that you have to understand, and I'm shoving risk management down your throat because I'm telling you I know better than you. I'm the expert. Do what I say. That doesn't work very well. You may get the initial contract done. You probably won't get a referral, and anything you produce is going on the shelf and likely won't be used at any time. When you actually talk to small business owners and you want to know, so if you're thinking about a small business and you want access to risk management, you want access to the latest possible information, similar and useful in your industry, bespoke if possible to the niche piece that you do. You want to have regular conversations about risk on a periodic basis, monthly or quarterly. You want to have somebody to come do a quick assessment of your business to see if there's things there that you don't understand that you're exposed to give you some ideas of what you might do about that. And then to be available for you to call and have a conversation with to talk about issues as they may come up. And when the big bad day goes off, do you want to pull a binder off the shelf and start flipping through to see what you're supposed to do? Or do you want to pick up a call and call this person you have a relationship and say, hey, Jeff, I just got a DDoS, a denial of service attack on my cyber. My site is down. I've lost access to this piece of data, and I've got a full series of bookings today. Great. This is what you do, Tim. Follow me. Do this, this, and this. Remember how we did this? Yeah, okay, because it's sitting right there. Pull that last copy down, dump it into your program, blah, blah. You know what I mean? You want to be able to speak to an expert, right? If my plumbing goes at the middle of the night, I'm at least smart enough to turn off the water, right? I can turn off the water in my house. But am I going to go and look at it and figure out what plumbing pieces I want? I probably could do that. Watch 10 or 12 YouTube videos, or I could just call the person who does it for a living, right? When my furnace doesn't, my natural gas furnace doesn't work in the winter, I don't try to fix it, right? Even though there are YouTube videos that would show me how to fix a gas, probably not something I should do. So I have somebody that comes and regularly maintains the furnace, and they're also the person that I intend to call when the big bad day comes and I've got no heat in February in minus 40 degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit, right? So that's the logic behind what people want. And this is how risk management works. If you understand what your clients want and what your clients are worried about, it's that old adage question of what keeps you up at night, what keeps you going. Your clients don't want binders. They don't want reports. They don't want registers. They don't want color-coded diagrams. The people, your clients, want to know, here are the 2 or 3 things that you can easily do. Because remember, having solutions is about the fastest way to get there with the least amount of work on the part of your client. That's your job as a consultant, right? That's your job as a risk manager. Give them the least amount of work that they need to do to get them up and running, and then be there when they need you when the big bad day happens. It's really no more complicated than that. That's what people are looking for. And you can extrapolate that out no matter what business model you're in. Risk is simple. Now, I'm going to close with this argument that I give all the time, and I love firing people up about it. Risk management is simple. People want it to be complicated and complex with an interwoven different series of events that are all tied in together. That is a very difficult thing to understand. Because if I convince you that that's true, then what I get to build for you is a complex and expensive consultancy business where I can sell you all the things that you need to be, because I'm going to explain it to you as complicated as I can so you don't understand, which puts my value as an expert farther higher, and I'm going to get you to separate from your money to give me to solve this perceived problem. In reality, risk management is simple. Very, very simple. It is understanding the business, how the client does it, and it's understanding the business, how it's going to solve the problem. That's the issue, right? That's the issue. That's all you're trying to do, is get in there, understand the business from the client's perspective, exactly how they do it, and being able to show them. And this, the one last piece before we close, is visualization. The cerebrum in the human brain is the piece of nature's artwork that allows us to think, allows us to logically go forward, allows us to logically think through problems and solve issues, right? That is a visual feed. It's the old adage of a picture is worth 1,000 words. Your brain works better on pictures. So if you can visualize, if you can physically show a map of the entire business end to end to the business owner, this is what your business looks like. And I'm going to use a projector. I'm going to put it on a big wall at their business. And this is the end to end. And every little thing that happens in your entire business is in one big freaking map. And here's a risk here. And here's a risk here. And here's a risk here. And here's the thing you can do to solve that, thing you can do to solve that, and thing you can do to address that. We're mitigating risk to a low level. We never can eliminate risk. We'll mitigate it to the lowest level. What AI does for us in today's world is it builds that visual picture, and it works in an interactive. It can say, hey, here are a bunch of risks that we think exist. You should consider it. Then the human makes the decision. Do I worry about that risk? Am I worried about this or not? Do I need to do something about it or not? That's a human decision. AI and risk management is an enabler. But risk is simple. It's not complex. So if your risk management consultant or your business continuity consultant or your operations consultant comes in and tries to tell you that it is complex and complicated of interconnected systems and it's very difficult to understand it all in one picture, then they're selling you a bag of marbles, and I would buy them a coffee and wish them a great day. That's my advice to you. Thanks for joining us this week at Mastering Risk. We appreciate all your feedback, everything you're giving us. Follow us over at preparednesslabs.ca. It's our parent company, has everything there. All of our free available products as well as our paid products are there. Follow us over on Buzzsprout. Take care. Stay safe.